Coach, another nice win for you guys last week. Things are rolling along, and I know you feel good about your football team and how you're playing right now, but you got a couple of big ones coming up. We'll get to those in just a moment. Go back to last week. Talk about another nice win.
Union City's, I kept telling our kids they're a good team. For some reason, Centerville's always struggled against them. The past 30 years, they're 15-15. Actually, the only team that we don't have a winning record against in the past 30 years. So there's just something about Union City that gets us every time. And they got us last year, and we were hungry, wanted to get them back. And we came out a little flat, and they had a big play to start off. But I was very proud of our kids and how they responded. Once again, didn't get their heads down or anything. They knew that we're going to be fine. We're going to get back to doing what we do. And they had a couple nice little game plan things to try and stop our running game, which once we were able to figure out what they were doing defensively, made a sideline adjustment there in the second quarter, and we kind of took off from there. So I was very impressed with how our O-line played because they were able to adjust to what they were trying to do schematically, and then our running game really took off after that.
You know, you'd mentioned last week it was kind of a little bit of a slow start too. I like the way you guys are adjusting as the game goes along.
Yeah, that's been the best part is just how seeing our mental progression this year and how they're becoming students of the game. And we're really literally able to stuff that, last year we had to wait till halftime, and some teams probably have to do that. We can go make those adjustments on the fly because I do have two guys that I have three linemen that come off the field, and then I have my tight end and two other linemen are back on the field for defense. So I talk to those three, we make an adjustment, and then they go in and relay it to them. So they did a real good job of that. And then we started taking off. Chris Pritchett had been injured. Thank God he was back and able to play. He came out running hard and got a lot of those hard yards. And then Cody and Reese were able to capitalize off how hard he was running with some of our counter plays of that, and they had a couple big runs to really spark that second quarter for us.
You and I talked previously about the guys up front and the job that they do, and you have to be very pleased that they've adjusted the way they have and the way they're playing right now too.
I am, and honestly, I love it because I coach the O-line. I'm an O-line guy, and that's something, even as a head coach, I can't give it up, and I'm just so proud of these guys. And just how hard they play, how well they play, and how they're just playing as one. And the communication I'm seeing out there, and that when you look at it, that's why our offense is just really plugging away and doing so well. It's those six guys up front, counting our tight end Cole Cooper. They are just, every play their motors are going whistle to whistle, and they're just paving a path for our running backs.
And they never, this as well as I do, they never get that ink every Friday night. They just do the dirty work and go back out and do it again.
Yeah, you're truly an altruistic person if you're an offensive lineman, and you don't really need the accolades or anything. Your joy is in the success of your teammates, and these guys all embody that, and they live it and love it, and I just could not be more proud of them. And they got their biggest test coming up here the next 2 weeks.
But it takes a special guy to be that offensive lineman. As you said, if you're not going to get the headlines, you better be ready just to do your work, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And these guys we got up front there, Eli McCoy, Jacob Craig Mile, Colin Snyder, Alfredo Calderon, and Noah Norp. They're just five kids that, they're just great kids. Like, if I had a daughter, I'd say, please date them because they're just great kids. They work hard in the classroom, too. They're the consummate student athlete. And I think that's another reason why it all, transfers from here onto the field, and that's why they're having success out there as well.
Have you found, before we talk about this week, I know your chemistry is really good on this team, but I watched them come out to practice, and they all seem to get along, and they all seem to really have a bond on this football team right now.
Yes, they really do. And I always preach it, unity, discipline, mindsets are saying, and unity is the key. And you got to be a family. And when you know and see these kids, when they're hanging out in school and outside of school, outside of practice, you got something special going, and they're building those special bonds because then they'll really go out there and fight for each other. And there's nothing, they take the I out of it, and it's the we. And I think that's another reason why we're seeing the major steps we're seeing this year.
Well, Coach, as we say, another step toward a possible championship. If everything goes according to plan, it begins again this week. So talk about this week and a great challenge on your hands.
Well, I told him, every game from here on out is a conference championship game. So this is, our second conference championship game. And Northeastern's a great squad, and they're just great at what they do. It's, couple kids graduate, plug the next ones in, the motor keeps going. And you can always throw the records out the window in a rivalry game, and this is one of those rivalries, as we saw last year when we were able to get them, and they were a great team. Our record right now means nothing, and I can tell you that they've had this game circled since last year. I know that they're chomping at the bits, and I believe it's their homecoming. So we're going to go into a harsh environment, and it's going to be be a good test for us to see if we really are progressing to become that team that we should be able to get to.
They lost Bray a couple of weeks ago, and I think they kind of hiccuped a little bit right after they lost him, but it seems like maybe they've kind of regained that a little bit. Redder able to run the football as well. Talk about that running attack and what that does against your defense.
Well, Redder, man, does that boy run hard. He's fun to watch. And they got the Dylan, the number 40, that's also run the ball hard. And so they got a nice two-headed monster there. And, it's really sad to see Bray go down because he's just a great athlete. And, I like watching kids like that play, and he plays hard. But I've been very impressed with how, the next man up. They got the next man up mentality there, and they're very well coached on both sides of the ball, actually in all three phases. And the fact that they're able to pick up, like you said, probably the reps, they're getting better each week as those kids get more and more reps. And Redder's second in the conference in rushing, and he's got a lot of carries, 107, so they're just feeding him the ball. It's just one of those things where we're going to have to bend, not break. He's going to get his yards, but can we weather the storm and hopefully get him off the field a few times and get our offense out there too.
Two teams that really run the ball well. I mean, it's going to be, I would imagine, one very physical Friday night.
Yeah. If you're an official, you're going to love it because you're going to be home, for dinner. It's going to be about an hour and 15-minute game probably. But it's going to be a very physical game. It's two very physical programs. And last year's game was very physical and fun. And, these are kids that have grown up playing against each other. They know each other. They like hitting each other. It's going to be just two brutal forces meeting and seeing which one can push further ahead. But I can't wait for it, honestly. And I love playing good teams like this and against great coaching staffs and knowing, like I told you before, I love the game planning part of it. I love what we're doing right now in there in the film room and stuff.
I got one last thing before I let you go. And when you get a chance to talk to them a little bit, they know that they still have a chance. They lose the one game, but they still have a chance. So they're not willing to give up that championship quite yet, are they?
No, they're still the champions till someone takes it. And like you said, they're still in it. And their quest for 5 is still going. So we're the next one that's got to go through. And, if we want to really start our own little thing here, I see no better way than to go and take it from them. And so it's going to be just a great game, and I can't wait for Friday night.